Yes, I'm still here, Hollywood. And coming up on today's episode...
The movie that I went back to watch again, I remember watching it and loving it the first time I saw it in the theater, was Flashdance. Mm-hmm. I bet that's the movie most people talk to you about.
Absolutely, yeah. It was huge. I'm still recognized by what used to be young girls and now are grandmas and say,
nothing wrong with that.
I remember you in Flashdance. You were such a handsome young man, and you had dark hair.
Well,
and I said, so did you. I was told that the chances were better of not going to Vietnam if you enlisted. So that's why I enlisted. And I was given all of the GI, the uniform, everything. I have large feet. I wear size 16 shoe. I know. Now, so I'll take a look. And they could not equip me with boots. And I eventually got an honorable discharge because they could not equip me with boots. So I have been forever grateful for having big feet. The huge momentum that Flashdance created. You want to keep the momentum going. Hopefully, when you have one big hit, you want to follow it up with something else, something equally good or better, just to keep you out there. And that did not happen.
You also worked with Anna Nicole Smith, didn't you? Were you surprised at all by her passing?
Not really, no. She was troubled, so no, I was not really surprised.
There are films that define a mood. There are films that create a fashion. And there are films that catapult its actors onto stardom. Some films are flash in the pan, but only one film was a flash in a dance. This is Still Here Hollywood. I'm Steve Kmetko. Join me with today's guest from Flashdance, Michael Nouri. If you'd like to be more involved with us at Still Here Hollywood, you definitely can. Just visit patreon.com/stillherehollywood. You can support us for as little as $3 a month. Then you can see who our upcoming guests will be and submit questions for them. You can even tell us what stars you want us to have on as guests. You'll also get exclusive behind-the-scenes info, pics, video, and more. Again, that's patreon.com/stillherehollywood. Hello, Michael.
Hello,
Thanks for
friend.
joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
What was your first movie?
Goodbye, Columbus.
Your first movie was Goodbye, Columbus?
Goodbye, Columbus in 1969. Larry Pierce directed it. Ali MacGraw's first movie, Richard Benjamin, was in it. And I was maybe 22, 23. And I had only acted in school. I had no training. And I had one line in the movie where I went up to Ali MacGraw, and my line was, "May I have this dance?" And there was this Panavision camera, and Larry was up there, and he said, "Action." And what came out of my mouth was, "May I have this dance?" Just like that. And he said, "Jesus Christ, let's do it again." And I did it again, and I managed to squeak out the line. Many years later, I had a chance to work with Larry again. And he said, "Have you learned how to act yet?"
How nice.
So we ultimately had a friendship. But that was my first movie.
Was that nerves or?
It's nerves. Absolutely.
How about today? Do you still get nervous in front of a camera?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yes, I do get nervous. Nervous, which turns into excitement. And I try to go with the excitement. Last week, I worked on a Ryan Murphy series, a new series called All's Fair, that stars Glenn Close and Kim Kardashian. Do we have to wait for that, for the planes? No. Yeah. Those are just airplanes.
Yes.
Those are airplanes.
They're real.
No, we have them in real time, real life. And I was playing, my character was driving the scene. I was playing a lawyer. And I had worked with Naomi Watts before on another Ryan Murphy show called The Watcher, and she is an absolute joy and delight to work with. I had worked with Glenn Close quite a while ago on, we played husband and wife on Damages, and that was a wonderful experience. We filmed that at the Silver Cup Studios and in Manhattan, and that was a joy working with her. And then, of course, the entire cast of Damages was wonderful. We had everybody: William Hurt, Ted Danson, Marty Short, a host of people. But this last week, I was nervous, and I'm always nervous when I'm about to go on set until I get into it, and I try to remember to let my partners do the acting, and I just listen.
I recall as a reporter, the first time I had to go live without the benefit of a teleprompter, you get like, at least I did.
I'll bet.
Trying to remember everything you're supposed to remember.
Sure.
And not get anything wrong. Anyway, the movie that I went back to watch again, I remember watching it and loving it the first time I saw it in the theater, was Flashdance. I bet that's the movie most people talk to you about.
Absolutely, yeah. It was huge. It had negative reviews when it came out. Lukewarm at best. It didn't get any positive reviews. But for some inexplicable reason, people went back over and over again to see it. When I saw it, when it opened in Westwood, it's the only time before or since that I have seen an audience give a movie a standing ovation and cheering for the movie. It was a great experience, and yes, it was the biggest, most popular film that I have ever been in, and it took me around the world. Paramount Studios sent us everywhere to promote it. So I'm still recognized by what used to be young girls and now are grandmas, and say,
Nothing wrong with that.
I remember you in Flashdance. You were such a handsome young man, and you had dark hair.
Well,
And I said, so did you.
good for you. Do you ever have any contact or run into Jennifer Beals from time to time?
No, I haven't had contact with her in a long time. No.
Because she made quite an impression in that movie as well.
Oh, huge.
And her off-the-shoulder T-shirts.
Oh, yeah, and leg warmers.
And leg warmers, yeah.
Kyle Hefner and I are still good friends. We're in touch.
And the dog was great.
Yeah, Grunt.
Grunt, right.
Yeah.
He was what most people refer to as a pit bull.
He was a pit bull, yeah.
But great dog.
Yeah. And working with Adrian Lyne, the director, was a delight.
Adrian Lyne went on to do some great things apart from Flashdance. The movie I most remember him from, director, is Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction.
He made a big splash with that one.
Yeah.
How did you get into acting?
I'd say in high school. I went to a boarding school in Connecticut. And I was in the Glee Club. I loved singing. I've always loved singing. And we did a production of Gilbert and Sullivan's Trial by Jury. And I played the judge. And I got a lot of laughs, a lot of applause, a lot of acknowledgement. And I think that's when the bug really bit me the first time. I was 15 years old at the time. I had no ambition or aspiration to be an actor at that time. It did not occur to me because the responsible avenue to take would have been to, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no idea. It was to get into college and somehow avoid the draft, which was fast approaching in 1966 and 67. So I went to a college in Florida, Rollins College, in Winter Park, Florida, and got involved with the theater there. The regular curriculum was anathema to me. I was in sports. I was rowing in the crew. I had a motorcycle. I had a girlfriend, and that was my life. And the theater. And so I felt most at home in the theater. And then I went to Emerson College in Boston. Henry Winkler was there at the time I was there. I don't know whatever happened to him, but I wish him well. And I did some productions there. Wellesley College was not far away, and I did some theater there. And Hillary Clinton was there at the time that I was doing theater there. I don't know what has
Happened
become
to
of
her either. Right.
I wish her well.
Yes.
And then I enlisted in the Army, and I served in the Army Reserve for a period of time. And then when that was over, I went home to New York, and I got a job waiting tables at a bar and was auditioning for things. And my dad used to come into the bar occasionally and leave me a huge tip. He would order a hamburger and leave a big, big tip. Like, I remember he left me a $50 bill one time. And I auditioned for a play called 40 Carats, C-A-R-A-T-S.
Was that Neil Simon?
No, Abe Burrows.
Abe Burrows.
And a stage manager named Jimmy or James Burrows. I don't know whatever happened to him. We wish him well. And I got the role of the understudying the lead, opposite Julie Harris, Nancy Marchand, Murray Hamilton, Franklin Cover, wonderful, wonderful people, wonderful actors. And then I inherited the lead role, and played that opposite Julie Harris for several months. And that was a very special time working with her. And talk about nerves. On opening night, the front row was Katharine Hepburn. I think that maybe Stella Adler was there, Paul Newman, Joanne Woodward. And I was...
Bunch of no names.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to her. And I was so stricken with nerves. I could not, and I had the first line, and I couldn't remember. I was completely blocked. I couldn't remember my first line. And I went from, and it was a very dangerous thing to do. The music was playing, the curtain was about to go up, and I crossed the stage and went to Julie, and I said, I can't remember my first line. And she told me what the first line was. And I said, I'm so nervous. And she said, Michael, I just finished throwing up in my dressing room. And that gave me some comfort. And I got through it somehow. Well, I'll tell you how. She carried me through it. She is such an amazing actor, an amazing presence, that all I had to do was listen to her and follow her lead. And that's how I got through it.
I saw her and interviewed her when she was here in Hollywood for a production of Driving Miss Daisy.
Oh, wow.
With Brock Peters,
Yeah.
the two of them together on stage,
Yeah.
in a very small theater. It was the Henry Fonda Theater. I don't know what they call it now, if it's the same thing. But she was as cool as a cucumber backstage. I want to go back to one thing you said. You were worried about being drafted, but yet you enlisted. Mm-hmm. How did that work?
The reason for that was I was told that the chances were better of not going to Vietnam if you enlisted. So that's why I enlisted. And I was given all of the GI, the uniform, everything, and I had to go to meetings and go out into the woods outside of Boston and pitch a tent and shoot rifles and play soldier. I have large feet. I wear size 16 shoe. I know. Now it's all, well, I'll take a look. And they could not equip me with boots. So I was wearing high-top sneakers. And I eventually got an honorable discharge because they could not equip me with boots. So I have been forever grateful for having big feet.
Mm-hmm. I thought mine were big at 12, but
Well, that's
size 16.
still kind of normal.
12?
12, yeah. 16 is...
Yeah, but you're 6'3", right?
6'2".
6'2".
6'2", but...
Those feet have to carry a lot of height.
Yeah. 6'2" is like NBA size. Basketball.
I thought they were all a lot taller. I know the older I get, the taller everybody else is.
I know.
It's that spine thing. And we'll be right back. You also worked with Anna Nicole Smith, didn't you? Were you surprised at all by her passing?
Not really. No. She was troubled. So no, I was not really surprised.
How long have you been doing this now? If 68 or 69 was Goodbye Columbus, my math isn't so good.
Mine isn't either, so we're going to have to just rely on the audience to fill in the blanks.
Okay.
My favorite memory? I have two. South Pacific, doing the national tour of South Pacific. We did that at the time of 9/11. And on the morning of 9/11, we were in rehearsal down on Union Square. So we were right there when the planes hit the towers. And there was deliberation about whether to take it on the road and continue the tour or not. It was decided to take it on the road. And it was particularly poignant because this was the first time that, since Pearl Harbor, that America was attacked by a foreign country. So we boarded planes out of Newark, which were practically empty, or nobody was flying. And we traveled around the eastern coast and southern states. And I have to tell you that it was a very emotionally rewarding time. The country needed healing, needed time to absorb what had just happened. So at the end, I asked the producers if we might sing God Bless America at the curtain. He consented. And after every performance, the audience would stand and lock arms or put their arms around each other, and we would sing with the orchestra, God Bless America. A lot of tears were shed. And then we did a collection for the areas that were affected by 9/11. So we had a very strong sense of purpose. It was not just to entertain, but it was to be able to make a difference to the people who were affected by this. So there was that. There was South Pacific. And then there was Victor Victoria with Julie Andrews, Blake Edwards directing, a wonderful cast of people who have remained friends. And to this day, Julie Andrews never misses a birthday.
Really?
She always sends me a handwritten card. God bless her. And of course, she went through a very traumatic time when she lost her voice. And she has soldiered on. She's writing books with her daughter. And she's just heroic.
She's such a classy lady, too.
Oh, she's amazing. And I had to kiss her several times, 8 times a week. And I was thinking the first time I did it, I said, oh my God, I'm kissing the lips that have kissed Richard Burton and Robert Goulet, and what a delight. And then and I'll tell you a fun story about how that came about. I was doing South Pacific in Long Beach with Sandy Duncan. And this is before Victor Victoria. And I stopped off at a restaurant in Westwood to pick up some lunch. It was a matinee day on a Wednesday. And I was approached by a guy who introduced himself. He said, my name is Tony Adams. I said, nice to meet you. He said, have you ever met Blake Edwards? And I said, no, I haven't, but I'm a big, big fan, especially of the Pink Panthers. He said, may I introduce you? And I said, absolutely. So we crossed the room. Blake was sitting at a table, and nice to meet you. And I said, well, it's a joy to meet you. He said, do you sing? And I said, does your dog bite? And he loved it. And it really kind of took off from there. He said, we're going to take Victor Victoria. Have you seen it? And I said, yes, I've seen Victor Victoria. But I have to tell you, it's the Pink Panthers that have made me such a huge fan of yours. He said, would you be willing to audition for us? And I said, in a heartbeat, yeah. And he said, well, we will get back to you and set that up. So then I had the thought. I said, why go into a room with an upright piano and sing something, anything, when I'm doing this full-blown production, just maybe 45 minutes away? So I offered to have them driven, provide a car for them, for him. It didn't occur to me that his wife would come. And they indeed came to the performance, and I told Sandy and the cast that Blake Edwards might be there at the performance. And then I told them when I found out that Julie Andrews might be coming too. So everybody was really excited. The whole cast were just beside themselves. Curtain came down. Blake and Julie came backstage. And of course, everybody was like, phew. Blake came over to me, put his hand out, and he said, let's go to Broadway.
Wow.
And that's how Victor Victoria happened.
That was a good day.
Oh, man. I was on cloud 9 for days. And then the music came. And I looked at the music. Henry Mancini was doing the music. Leslie Brickus was doing the lyrics. And I got a call. I answered the phone. Michael, this is Hank Mancini. Welcome aboard. Leslie Brickus and I have written a number for you. It's called King's Dilemma. And it is about an 8-minute recitative number. I want you to take a look at it. And he said, are you a tenor? What? I said, I don't know. He said, well, what is your range? Do you read music? And I said, no, I don't. And he said, did you get this job? And I said, Blake saw me in what's the play I was doing?
I don't know.
This was at least 60 seconds ago that I told you.
Please.
South Pacific.
South Pacific. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
I was listening. Really, I was.
I know, but I wasn't. So he said, I'm going to write this. We're going to write this song for you. And then I got it. And it was a lot. There was a lot of words. So I learned it, performed it, and it was a showstopper.
I ask this a lot of, well, not a lot, but I have asked in the past of women of a certain age what it was like for them aging in Hollywood and how they handled it. How has it been for you? Because I remember, in Flashdance, you were still 6'2". Maybe at that time you were 6'3".
I was 6'3".
And you had dark hair and a square jaw, and you were, my God, you're the epitome of a leading man. And, as I understand, we get a little grayer, a little shorter.
A little rounder.
A little rounder. How has it been for you? Does it affect you?
Sure. Sure, it affects me. After Flashdance, that was the time to strike while the iron was hot. Billy Friedkin got in touch with me and told me he wanted me to be in his new movie with Barbara Hershey. It was called Sea Trial. It was going to be done at 20th Century Fox. And Fox went into turnaround, and that movie was shelved. So the momentum from Flashdance was dissipated. But while I was in Tokyo promoting Flashdance, I got a call from my agent who said that Stephen Bochco was interested in having me be in a series of his called Bay City Blues. And Bay City Blues lasted for 13 episodes. It had an unknown, wonderful actors, including an unknown actor named Sharon Stone. Don't know whatever happened to her. We wish her luck. So my point is that the momentum, the huge momentum that Flashdance created, you want to keep the momentum going. Hopefully, when you have one big hit, you want to follow it up with something else, something equally good or better, just to keep you out there. And that did not happen. So I went from Bay City Blues to a succession of TV shows, independent movies, and so on. But nothing of the magnitude of Flashdance. Now, to answer your question, if I can remember it, it is definitely a psychological and emotional adjustment because the offers don't come in as frequently. Fortunately, as a man, the opportunities are more frequent than they are for women of a certain age. And I'm very grateful for that. I'm now playing where I used to be leading man. I now went through a period of playing dads, now granddads, senators, statesmen, and so on, which I am very grateful for. The phone is still ringing. I have wonderful agents who are keeping me out there.
You've worked pretty much nonstop since the beginning of your career.
Yeah. Very, very fortunate. I just did an audition for Bradley Cooper's new movie. People say, "You have to audition?" And the answer is yes. Yes, I do. And I'm willing to do that. I have to put my ego aside and just be grateful for what comes my way.
And hopefully your nerves aside. I'd like to ask you about, I have a list of people you've acted with. And I'd just like some quick responses, thumbnail responses. Diane Cannon.
Diane and I we did work together. We did a movie called Boynton Beach Club. She's a hoot. She was great.
Yeah. Okay. Jacqueline Smith.
Worked with Jacqueline. I don't remember. You can help me out with.
Were you one of the Charlie's Angels?
Yes, I was all of them. Yeah. I don't remember the name of the show, but yes, we worked together, and she was a delight to work with.
Jean Smart.
Worked with Jean Smart. We played, I think, husband and wife on a show. I don't remember the name of it. Angela Lansbury was in that show. And that was I think it was just a pilot. It didn't become a series.
And we'll be right back. It made over $200 million, I think, that movie, which in that day and time was a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that they made that much money because I only got $75,000.
That's not bad.
And so did Jennifer. We got the same deal.
You also worked with Anna Nicole Smith, didn't you? Were you surprised at all by her passing?
Not really. No. She was troubled. So no, I was not really surprised.
You also worked with Anna Nicole Smith, didn't you?
I did. It was an independent movie. Yep.
Were you surprised at all by her passing?
Yes. What was I surprised at her passing? Not really. No. Because she was troubled. So no, I was not really surprised.
Yeah, I remember I interviewed her once, and I remember she had a lot of handlers.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
Because I think they had to kind of rein her in from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say anything that might be... As I saw in a movie recently, a character said, "Ladies, I don't repeat gossip, so listen carefully."
I like that.
Yes. Actually, that was in the Menendez Brothers.
Oh, another
series.
Ryan Murphy show.
Yes, he's doing well these days.
Yeah.
The soundtrack from Flashdance with Irene Cara sang the main song.
Mm-hmm.
Were you tapping your feet when you first heard that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I remember going out to Malibu to the producer's home, the producer who was married to Barbra Streisand.
John Peters.
John Peters, thank you. And they had it was on a Saturday afternoon, and they're having a huge celebration. And they kept playing What a Feeling over and over and over again. And yes, of course, that was another loss, Irene Cara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very unexpected.
Yeah.
And just for clarification's sake, I don't think John Peters ever married Barbra Streisand, but they were an item for a long time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It made over $200 million, I think, that movie, which in that day and time was a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that they made that much money because I only got $75,000.
That's not bad.
And so did Jennifer. We got the same deal.
Oh, that's nice.
But at that time, in 82, 83, that was meaningful, especially coming from New York, doing a play off Broadway. And I'll tell you, I was doing this off Broadway, and I got a call from my agent saying that, oh gosh, what's his name? Sam Peckinpah wanted to meet me for a movie that he was doing called The Osterman Weekend. So I had to fly myself out here to Los Angeles to meet him. And a great guy. And he said, "You don't have to do anything." He said, "I can tell just by meeting you that I would love you to be in my movie." I was so thrilled because he was a hero of mine. That afternoon, I got a script called Flashdance. "Please read this tonight, Michael. They would like to meet you tomorrow, Friday, at Paramount Studios." I read it, and I liked it more than The Osterman Weekend. And I thought, damn. Well, of course, this was a enviable position to be in, to be offered. I went to audition on Friday afternoon for Adrian Lyne. And my agent, who was a very tough negotiator, went to 20th Century Fox and went to Paramount and said, because they were waffling, when I went in to audition for Flashdance, there was Mickey Rourke and Kevin Costner. They were up for the role also. And so Arnold Rifkin, my agent, really pushed them and said, you know, or get off the pot, because we've got this offer from Fox. And they hired me. And the rest is history. Mm-hmm. The Osterman weekend, unfortunately, did not do anything.
Well.
Yeah. And Flashdance became Flashdance.
And you since went to work with Kevin Costner on Yellowstone, correct?
Yes. Yes, Taylor Sheridan. I don't know what's happened to him either. Everything on television is either Ryan Murphy or Taylor Sheridan. Yes, and I worked with Kevin, and he was a delight to work with. I didn't have one scene with him, but he was so welcoming. And my scenes were with Kelly Riley. All of them were with Kelly, who plays Beth, his daughter. And I understand that tomorrow night, Sunday night, they're having a new episode of Yellowstone, which I'm excited to see. And Kelly was a joy to work with. She was amazing.
Yeah. I think I saw a story on her recently where she told them she could ride a horse. They were looking for a horsewoman. And in reality, she said she couldn't, but she learned real fast.
Yeah. And that was true of quite a few of the actors. They'd never ridden horses, but they lied to get into it.
Yeah, well. Let me see. Do you have, I know, I've been out here working since the early 80s, and there have been people over the years who I've met who made a real impression on me. One of them was Betty Davis.
Wow.
Have there been people that you've met that really gave you a wow moment?
Sure. Julie Andrews, Glenn Close, Julie Harris, Sean Connery.
Oh.
F. Murray Abraham in Finding Forrester. Funny story about... Do we have time?
Yeah.
For a funny story?
We have editors, too.
Good. Sean was he was a producer of Finding Forrester. Gus Van Sant was directing. And Gus said to me, I understand you do an impersonation of Sean. I said, no. He said, would you do it for the crew, the cast? I said, that was like putting a knife in a monkey's hand. And so I went to wardrobe. I got a kilt. I went to props. I got a golf bag. I filled the golf bag with bottles of Johnny Walker. Took all the clubs out. You just saw bottles of Johnny Walker. I went to makeup. I had them powder my hair to make it look as much as they could like Sean Connery. And I walked onto the set, and Gus was directing a scene. F. Murray Abraham was there doing the scene. And they started laughing. And I said, what the are you laughing at? I'm producing this movie, and you're all sitting there laughing. What the are you laughing at? And they couldn't stop laughing. They were really getting a kick out of it. And Murray was laughing too. And they wouldn't stop laughing. And all of a sudden, behind me, I hear, so Mr. Nouri, having fun at my expense, are we? And I turned around and I said, who the are you? I'm producing a goddamn movie here. Get off of my set. And after that, I mean, that broke the ice because he was so intimidating to everybody. I mean, he's a giant. But that really broke the ice, and we had a few jovial moments together. And so, yes, I was awed by him.
Did he like your impersonation?
Yes. Of course.
I tried to get an interview with him once. I'll tell this story. I was in Vancouver, and I was working for CBS, and we were doing a series of reports on how production was moving to Canada. And we were in Vancouver to shoot, I forget which television show, Wise Guys, one of the shows that shot up there, and MacGyver shot up there. So we were up there doing this, and we were staying at a hotel, and one morning at breakfast, Sean Connery was sitting at another table. And I thought, wow, if we could get him for this series, that'd be great. So I went up and asked him, Mr. Connery, you know, we're up here for CBS News doing a series, and I would love to be able to talk to you about doing production up here. Didn't look up from his breakfast, didn't say a word, and I just kind of slunk away, whatever. Yeah, he was intimidating.
Yes, yes.
I didn't want him to get angry, so I just, okay.
I had an experience like that with Pavarotti. It's when he was performing at, it wasn't the Hollywood Bowl, but it was when the Three Tenors were doing a concert here in L.A. And I had a really good seat, and I had a VIP backstage pass. And after the concert, I saw him sitting by himself, eating a bowl of pasta. And I just stupidly, selfishly, because it was all about me, getting to acknowledge the maestro. That was a big lesson for me. I walked up to him and I said, Maestro, may I congratulate you and thank you? And he turned, and it was like slow motion, as if to say, beat it, kid. Without saying a word. It just went back to his pasta.
Yeah.
And I thought, lesson learned, Michael, to respect somebody that you admire and respect.
Right.
Give them be respectful.
Well, as long as you don't, linger, don't beat a dead horse. Speaking of which, is there a reason, just out of curiosity, why you don't speak to Jennifer Beals anymore? Or I don't want to make it sound like you don't speak to each other. Has the occasion just not arisen?
Occasion has not arisen. No. We've seen each other. Maybe the 40th anniversary of Flashdance with Adrian Lyne. And we had occasion to see each other then. But nothing more than that.
It really was a landmark film for producers Simpson and Bruckheimer as well. Mm-hmm. What was it like working with them before they became so huge? Top Gun was one of the films they produced.
Sure.
A number of other noteworthy movies.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like working with them as a team?
I didn't have anything to do with them. They would show up on set from time to time. I had heard stories that there was some issues about the way Adrian was shooting scenes. He used to have a lot of smoke and colors and so on, which were very effective for the mood of the show. But I had heard that the producers did not like that. They didn't like all of the smoke and the style that Adrian wanted to create. But aside from that, I really had very little to do with Jerry or Don.
As you mentioned on the phone when we were talking the other day, maybe we should address the elephant in the room.
Let's get it out of the room.
Which, yes. Were you depressed by the news?
I still am in shock and dismayed and anxious about what the next 4 years hold for us. And what is most disturbing to me is how divided the country is. That's very troublesome to me. And what that indicates of how divided we are. But to answer your question, I am adjusting to it. I've got my fellow cohorts, and we help each other try to be philosophical about it. And one of the things it's forcing me to do is to practice gratitude and really focus on the blessings in my life. So that's where I'm at. But I am adjusting, and it's a challenging adjustment.
You know, I'm reluctant to say too much about the president-elect because it stirs up such nasty comments on our podcasts and stuff, although we try to avoid it. This is about Hollywood, not about politics. But
it's not just about politics. That's what's problematic about it. It is about core beliefs and about decency. It's not about politics, really. Yes, there is the political aspect of it, but it really goes to humanity and what are our core beliefs about what is meaningful about humanity. Do we just take all of the things that we were raised and grown up with about being kind, being compassionate,
do unto others as you would have them do unto you?
The golden rule, yeah. That's what's really troublesome to me. And yes, I understand that there's a lot of blowback from expressing our feelings about it. I won't say it, our feelings. So I try to take because I've gotten a lot of blowback too from posts that I've put on Instagram and Facebook and so on. So I just try to stick with feeling concerned about the divide in the country. That's what's really troublesome to me.
You know, a few years ago in Chicago, I worked the polls. I was a volunteer. And they contacted me this year and said, you know, you want to come help us out again? And I thought, I don't want to, because I'm afraid of who could be waiting outside the door, you know. In Chicago, we say vote early and vote often. But it's not a joke anymore.
No. Nope.
So what is your, going forward, how are you going to face this?
Relying on the support of like-minded and like-hearted people who I keep close to me. I was talking to a really good pal of mine last night at a dinner, and he told me that he spent the following day eating a pint of ice cream and a pizza and not being able to get out of bed. So we all have, my friends all have a version of that. And moving forward, I think it's to really keep friends close and in whatever way to weather through it. And I think it's about counting blessings for the blessings that we do have in our life, and not focusing. And I'll tell you one of the things. I'm not going to. I had a ritual of watching the news every night while I had dinner, and that is history. I'm not doing that anymore. Good, bad, both sides. No more news at night because it's too troublesome for me. It affects my my sleep and my serenity.
I understand completely.
Enough.
A friend of mine, Bruce Valanche,
Sure.
had posted.
Wonderful guy.
Yeah, he had posted that he turned off MSNBC and went to TCM, Turner Classic Movies. And I thought, wow, that's a good idea. And I know exactly where the two are. MSNBC is 317 on my cable. TCM is 319.
That's what I did exactly last night when I went out for dinner. I've been a Lawrence O'Donnell fan for many years, and last night when I went out to dinner, I put it on TCM. It was Guys and Dolls, and refreshing.
Who do you wish you'd had the chance to work with that might not be around anymore?
As an actor or producer or anybody?
As an actor.
As an actor. Well, I'll tell you somebody that I admire greatly, who I would like to work with, is Malcolm McDowell, who is a friend. I did a stage reading in Santa Barbara last weekend of a show called The Boys Next Door. And Malcolm very graciously came because he lives nearby. And he came. But he's still very much alive and very much working a lot. God bless him. People who are gone, nobody comes to mind. Who would I have loved to work with? Well, I worked with Bill Hurt. He was wonderful. I can't think of anybody.
Yeah. Can you think of Charlie? Can we say hello to Charlie before we wrap this up?
Charlie, my buddy. Yes, you know your name. This is Charlie, my little buddy, my heart on four legs. That's who Charlie is.
Oh, he's a great dog.
Oh, he's so wonderful.
Very quiet and very peacefully sitting there.
Yeah, he's a peaceful boy. We meditate together every day. I've been meditating for over 50 years. I don't like to leave the house without doing it, especially these days.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you very much for coming by. Oh, that's a nice watch.
thank you. That was a birthday present to myself for my 60th birthday.
Oh, caught
Thank you.
my eye.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for coming by. It was good talking to you.
It's my pleasure.
And,
I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you. Continued
Great
success.
questions. You had really, you're a wonderful interview.
Thanks. I just want to have a conversation with people.
That's a wonderful conversation, yeah.
I mean, you're not here to plug anything. You're not here. We don't have a big corporate backer like CBS, like I used to work for CBS or E! Entertainment.
I remember, I know.
And you always had to kind of, think of those people when you're, and what they might say. So anyway, I like just being able to sit and talk with people and let the public eavesdrop.
That's a very good perspective to have.
So,
yeah, and I've really enjoyed this. I've enjoyed our time together today.
Thank
you.
you.
It's a nice way to spend a Saturday morning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think so too. And with that, we'll say goodbye.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Thank you.
Happy trails to you.
Happy trails to you, too.
Still Here Hollywood is a production of the Still Here Network. All things technical run by Justin Zangerle. Theme music by Brian Sanishin. And executive producer is Jim Lichtenstein.